I do not trust you little bitches on BookTok and your stupid Kindle Unlimited book recommendations talking about this is 5 stars, this is one of the best books I've ever read. Meanwhile, when I was 12 years old, I was reading One Direction fan fiction written by someone whose first language was not English on Wattpad, and it was still better written than half of the shit I'm seeing pushed out on BookTok. I'm gonna be the bitch and say it, some of you need to go back to a high school level literature class because the lack of reading comprehension that I am seeing is scary. Talking about Guild or whatever the fuck it's called is a literary masterpiece. I love a little fun romantasy vibe as much as the next girl. Like, romantasy is one of my favorite genres. However, that does not mean that it has to be poorly written. And I'm just gonna say it, not everyone should have their book published.
I cannot believe this discourse is still happening. You know what? I take that back. It never stops. It's not a cycle. It just keeps going. To help myself through this, I have half a pan au chocolat. It's a day old, and the chocolate spread in that is pretty sad. It's still good though. A new person downloads the app, gets into reading, and then starts making these kinds of videos over and over and over, and thousands and thousands of videos have been made on this topic, responding to this topic, misunderstanding what people are saying. There's so much nonsense, so much noise. It really is tough to even keep track of. And I did for a minute think about making a video of like showing what all the people are saying, but I don't think I have the sanity to do that. There's just too many. It's thousands of videos. Of course, there's valid criticism wherever you look. And then it just spirals. It spirals. And so this girl's video, I'm going to use it as a jumping off point to talk about something specific. But she had a lot of points that I think have merit, like romantasy books that, you know, the issues of editing issues and overall quality.
That is how we end up with rushed books, trope first writing, grammatical errors, AI written books, and stories optimized for virality instead of craft. Lapsing those categories lowers the bar for what publishers invest in and protect.
And I do think that readers should demand better editing, but that comes from like publication houses. I feel like maybe the publishers are like, they'll buy whatever, so we'll just put it out at any stage. But that being said, even an unfinished book or a book that has spelling issues can be someone's favorite book of all time. That is possible, but that's not what I want to talk about. Specifically, in the first line of this video, she talks about not trusting BookTok people recommending or giving 5-star recommendations, absolutely glowing reviews.
Talking about this is 5 stars, this is one of the best books I've ever read.
I think this is kind of an influencer issue because even across other spheres of online spaces, you see this with Michaela Noguera, whatever her name is. She gives a glowing review to almost every single product, and it's ridiculous at this point. It's parody, I would say. And so if every product is amazing, same with books. If every book is amazing, 5-star, 10 out of 10, I want to die so I can read this book again type thing, then none of them are amazing. So I wanted to talk about recommendations specifically and how like I look at recommendations, and maybe we need to like use our own agencies to find better recommendations and not just trust anyone with a phone that can upload a video, because anyone can do it. The bar is so low right now. I mean, look, I'm uploading something using my phone to record. I don't even have a camera. Also, everyone out there, Texas is gonna have a crazy storm. Obviously, the storm is in other states as well, but Texas is kind of notorious for not being able to handle said storm. So this weekend is gonna be quite hairy. We'll have to monitor what Ted Cruz is doing and base our concern off of that, because that'll be my little indicator. Is Ted Cruz leaving the state? Well, okay, moving on. Calling out BookTok as a whole as giving bad recommendations is just kind of wrong. I think this blanket term for BookTok, it conjures an image in your mind of a person, but really it contains multitudes, like many things. There are so many people, so many smaller creators, so many people, and giving great recommendations. So just go looking. Okay, but I'll get to that. For book quality, this is an issue for sure. But yeah, especially on Kindle Unlimited, anyone and their mom can upload to Kindle Unlimited. Like, it's that easy. I mean, Amazon advertises it as something that is easy to do. Like, the barrier for a Kindle Unlimited book is hardly there. You can get a book up there in 72 hours. I mean, I wanted to do a whole nother video on, like, counterfeit books that are uploaded to not Kindle Unlimited, but the Amazon publishing thing, the publishing side, because there are like books come out from authors and then they'll just plagiarize and use AI to rewrite the whole thing, and then it tricks viewers into buying a different book.
Come to my attention that all of these biographies about me have shown up on Amazon, I think today, which is really an exciting day for me because I'm not just releasing one book. This is the real book, my book that I wrote. I'm releasing like 9 books all at the same time. Yes, these books are clearly AI and I am going to order every fucking one of them.
But that is a whole separate issue. That was kind of an idea I had to make a video because there's a couple of authors that this has happened to and it seems quite ridiculous. So quality, book quality, it is definitely on the publisher. You know, when something is popular, maybe they're just spitting things out and maybe we have yet to see the worst because Romantasy was only popular a couple of minutes ago in book publishing time. So we should see more kind of crazy stuff being published. However, we can direct our attention somewhere else that's not on those books. Sorry to the authors, but we actually don't know the drama behind the scenes at publishing houses. So there could be some shenanigans happening there. Croissant break. Croissant. So I would say direct your attention elsewhere, and also likewise direct your attention away from the influencers, the book talkers, whoever that give those reviews that are overzealous, and don't take them as fact, because when it is something like a book, it's so subjective, and we've talked about this before with the Haley fam stuff. Books are so subjective. Everything is so subjective, and so to paint with broad brushes is a mistake. And do not fall for the hype that these influencers are trying to do. Like, we see this constantly on TikTok. Trends come and go because people are like, this is the best thing. Like, even with that Barnes & Noble bag, that it's so ugly. I think it's ugly. Like, people are rushing out to get it. It's like, don't fall for the hype. I actually don't know what book has been hyped recently because I don't really follow books like that on TikTok. I watch more YouTube content and we'll get to how I look for books, okay? But yeah, don't fall for an overzealous book talker. Like, I know that people can be passionate about things, but at the same time, like I said, not all books are 10 out of 10. Not all books are masterpieces. And I kind of agree with that girl that Guild is not a masterpiece. Don't think so.
Guild, or whatever the fuck it's called, is a literary masterpiece.
And like I was saying before, with the bar for entry being so low, so anyone can make a video, and so new people are getting into reading every single day. Like, even me, I like just started, relatively speaking, like 3 years ago, getting back into it. I hadn't read for like 10 years, and what was the book I found? Verity. What was the video I saw? Books that made me shocked that I wanted to read again. I wanted to pass away so I could read it again. These types of things. That book was crazy. I was like, this is crazy. Minus the end. I was like, all the way up till the end, I was like, my God. That book gave me a jump scare. Whew. That was really fun. Other than Verity, what I saw being recommended a lot, of course, was ACOTAR. A Court of Thorns and Roses. That book is literally their darling. And I remember reading it and being so pissed. I was like, this is such an annoying book. But then once you've read a couple of these and you've been burned a few times, you move on, you branch out, and you seek more opinions. And that's what I think people should do. Instead of complaining on the internet, just seek more opinions. Which is now gonna lead into how I started to find my recommendations after realizing that a lot of people, they're not intentionally lying. Maybe some of them are, but I think they're just, I don't even know why. They just recommend these things glowingly and the book is just mediocre. My opinion. Again, so subjective. I'm getting so tired of saying that, but it's so true. So book recs. You can actually find amazing book recommendations on TikTok. I would suggest like finding smaller accounts and maybe looking at how they recommend books that you've read before and seeing if your interest lines up with them. And just personally, I just won't trust anyone who recommends any Frida McFadden book. You've been thrown out, blocked. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I don't do that. And next is one of my favorite places to get book recommendations. And don't sigh and go ooh and groan and say this guy stinks. Reddit. I love a good Reddit browse for books. And my TBR list on Libby and on Goodreads has gotten mighty long because of Reddit. At the end of the year, tons of people post on the various subreddits like the fantasy, romance, the thrillers, the just our books in general, and they'll post their tier lists. Like lots of people, just normal people posting tier lists. I was obsessed looking through every single one. I'm zooming in, I'm pinching and zooming. I'm like, which one? Which one is this? What are they saying is their top masterpiece? You know, inevitably it's a Stephen King. It's a Brandon Sanderson, but every now and then someone has lesser known titles on their tier list, and then that makes me more intrigued. I dig in from there. I go onto Goodreads. I search the book by itself. I read the blurb. Guys, let's read the back of the book. The amount of people not reading the back of the book is surprising. Read the back of the book. Another fun place on Reddit to find book recommendations is books that feel like this, because people will post images and they're like, what's a book with the vibe that looks like this? And it's some really messed up image and you're like, oh, I'm intrigued, I want to know what book feels like that. And then you scroll down and then you get your book recommendations. But then again, look up those recommendations a little bit further. But yes, I love books that feel like this. It's really cool. Fun times at the library. I have recently, per my previous video, I've been obsessed with the library, and I just got a physical library card. I've had a library card digitally for a while, so just audiobooks and, digital books. But there's something different about going in there and then you see a shelf that says recommended. The library recommends these, fantasy. And then the new releases, they have them there. They recommend. And then you pick one, you read again. You read the back of the book to see if it vibes with you. Does it speak to you? Does it be like, oh, I'm intrigued at this time period? And then you take it from the library. And if you don't like it, you give it back. That's another thing, I think, a little tangent, is being okay with disappointment. Because, even if you take a recommendation and you've vetted all the things, you might still not like that book. And you just got to be okay with it. I'm not going to be mad at it. Just move on to the next one. Do I sometimes think I've wasted the finite moments of my life? Yes, sometimes. But then you move on to the next book. And the next book will probably be the best thing you've ever read. I'm just being optimistic here. It might not be. Last year for me, it was kind of like a real mid-year when it comes to books. I'm quite sad about it, actually. I try not to think about it. So bangers only this year for me, okay? And so far, so good. So moving on. Okay, next part. She speaks about Kindle Unlimited. I think maybe I've spoke about this. I don't know. I'm just going to speak about it again. Literally anyone can upload to Kindle Unlimited. So what I would recommend, if you want to use Kindle Unlimited, which is a really cool service, by the way, I've tried it before and there's some real fun reads on there. There are YouTubers who make videos exclusively reading from Kindle Unlimited. The one that I know of is, I think, Chandler Ainsley. She does like romance reads and she reads only Kindle Unlimited. She has a couple of books on that. She has a couple of videos about that, which I enjoy watching. I'm intrigued. All right, I've been yapping for way too long and I have a croissant to finish. But in conclusion, reading is subjective. And even the poorly written, trope-filled, what you would call nonsense with typos is someone's gateway drug into the wonderful world of reading. And yes, I agree. readers do deserve more for the money that we pay for these books a lot of the times. But we also have agency to seek better recommendations, and no one's forcing us to read hyped books on TikTok. Of course, let me know what you think. I'm intrigued. This is quite a hot topic, so let's be chill. Anywho, have a great one, and I'll see you next time. Bye!